Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the weekly comic book roundup. We've gone over this week's, or well, last week's Marvel books. Now it's time to move on to last week's DC books, starting with Batman Catwoman, issue 3. Where we left off, we had multiple story arcs going on at the same time. Two involve we had multiple story arcs for multiple points in time going on at once. In one, the titular couple was dealing with the Phantasm returning, Andrea Beaumont, and hacking her way through the Joker's henchmen. There were also revelations that perhaps Joker and Catwoman were closer than we thought over the years. And finally, in a future, a present, I'm not really sure which it's supposed to be, after Bruce's death, Selina has tracked down the Joker and killed him. And so, the issue begins with Helena Wayne, Huntress, or perhaps it's Batwoman, standing at the bat signal with Commissioner Dick Grayson. Apparently a body has been found in Port Orange, Florida. Elderly man living alone in a retirement community. Throat slashed ear to ear. Body was found a day after it happened. Apparently the victim was wearing makeup. Underneath the makeup, his skin was chalk white. But Helena states they've been looking for him for 10 years. And Joker wasn't in Florida. And so Dick brings up the first time he ever dealt with Joker. He was 12, half grown. He was a partner of the psychic, having fun, time of his life. Bang, pow, blam. And there he was, laughing while all those dead. It wasn't fun anymore. Then cut to the more contemporary point. Joker singing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. Before cutting to earlier. Selina beating the holy hell out of Joker because Batman stumbled upon some reindeer. Well, some people who Joker had sewn antlers onto, at least. But she even asks, "What's wrong with Joker?" And she says, "Do you think I know?" He says, she thinks he knows, because, well, apparently he doesn't. Back in the future timeline, Helena's talking with her mom, explains that she saw Dick. And that they found a body in Florida. I think it's the Joker. Selina doesn't really seem to register with Selina. But Helena says as soon as she knows whether or not it's the Joker, she'll let her mother know. But Helena's wondering if everything's alright with her mother. Back in the more present timeline, wherein Joker was singing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, that was when else had an issue too. He basically begged Batman to take him in because he knew because Joker knew that, well, Phantasm was coming after him. So Batman goes to speak to Joker, explaining that one of his henchmen, Paul Fleischman, is dead. And he says, Batman tells Joker that she sliced him up like she's been doing with all of Joker's former helpers. But during the autopsy, something was found on the victim's tongue. I'm hiding with the Batman and the Catwoman. Ha ha ha. Tattooed on the man's tongue. So, yeah. And Batman says, basically, it's like, hey, I'm done. No, I'm turning you loose. We get a rather sweet moment with Bruce and Selina in bed. In the future, Helena informs her mother that, the body in Florida is the Joker. He's dead. And Dick has apparently Commissioner Grayson is working on getting jurisdiction because on account of the fact that most of Joker's crimes were committed in Gotham. And so that's why we want jurisdiction. And somebody says it's Joker, but it's still a murder. To which Selina states that Helena sounds more and more like her father. But Helena assumes that Bruce's death played some role in all of this. The two of them dying within weeks of one another. Back in the present, Phantasm comes for Selina at the mansion. The two of them duke it out. Bruce is trying to get a hold of Selina as one of the some of the alarms have been tripped at the mansion. In one of the past portions, Catwoman finds Joker hidden in a safe, and he warns her about something he's playing at an ice rink soon, and to make up for not telling her about the reindeer. So she can tell Batman about it, and maybe Batman can save everyone. But then he'll want to know how she knew, and whatever will she say. In the future timeline, Helen explains to her mother she was she checked out Joker's apartment. Says she couldn't find any clues as to what happened to the Joker, but the book showed otherwise. She was able to find something. Which something that presumably potentially links her mother to the murder. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to the first of our Future State books for the week. Future State Catwoman, number 2. Where we'd left off, Catwoman was rescuing was trying to rescue some of her strays from a train, a high-speed train run by the magistrate. Also on the train were Murmur and Bruce Wayne. And infiltrating the train as well as Catwoman was none other than Talia al Ghul. So some of Selina's accomplices Selina and her accomplices have a plan to get everyone off the train, which involves destroying a power station at a certain point. So these people coordinate with Selina, but turns out that the sedative gas that is used in one of the maximum security cars is leaking into the car she's in, and well, yeah, she has a dream where she's talking to Bruce Wayne's casket. Batman shows up, and then she's woken by automatopoeia. And when she discovers that the gas is coming in. However, Talia has managed to free Bruce, and her and Bruce managed to go wade through some of the magistrates. But Bruce notices Selina on one of the view screens, and so, yeah. But Selina wades through the magistrates, very nearly actually ends up on the business end of the gun of one of the high-ranking magistrates until Bruce saves her. And so Bruce, Talia, Selina, and Automatopoeia makes their way through the train, and the full scope of the plan is revealed. Selina gets to the strays. However, Bruce says he's not going with her because if he does, she'll always be running. If he's not with her, she'll be safe. Ish. But the plan is to release the car she's on from the rest of the train. It then links up at the old train station they've set up. Everyone's free. Everyone's happy. And after an explosion on the train, the magistrates find a message left with it. Batman lives. And that is where the series ends. Yeah, all of the Future State books will be coming to an end here pretty soon. Though it does turn out we're getting a new... There will be a spin-off of our next title, starting in April. Future State, the next Batman. But yeah, we're going to get a continuation of the next Batman starting in April. So that's cool. Where we left off with the next Batman. Batman was investigating the new Batman, Jace Fox, was investigating a murder. He had found the perpetrators. They were regular people whose daughter was kidnapped and presumably killed by a predator online, and so they went after him and took him out. They also went after Batman when he said he was going to turn him over to the police. So, yeah. So the issue begins with Batman being strangled by one of the people he was trying to protect from the magistrates, but he does manage to get loose, and some sense is talked into everyone. It turns out that they don't have much time to get 32 blocks. especially with the peacekeepers being already on their trail. And so, and yes, the peacekeepers are on their trail. Using various gadgets, they manage to evade the peacekeepers for a while, but they can only evade them so much. And then the husband of the couple from the couple basically jumps out of the car with a stun grenade, triggers it just as he's hit by, and manages to take out a couple peacekeeper vehicles with it, sacrificing his life in the process. As they continue their evasion, Batman runs into his mother and throws a batarang at her, grazing her with it. He fights one of the peacekeepers hand to hand, hand to knife, sticks the guy's own blade in his chest, and then knocks him out. Batman eventually makes his way to City Hall, turns the woman over, explaining that, yeah, I know I said there were two, the other one didn't make it, but he also suggests that the arresting officers look into the victim. There's more than a chance he murdered a little girl. The detective Batman spoke to asked if the basket's bulletproof, and basically say that so she can say she did her job. She shoots him. Later, Jace meets his family at the hospital to see how his mother's doing. Bit of an argument between Jace and Luke, though Jace's sister, as well as their father, Lucius, tries to calm things down, and Jace tries to reason with his mother, but at least you know she doesn't really know he's Batman. But yeah. Oh, excuse me. It's kind of, in some ways, it's a little reminiscent of the old trope with Aunt May and Peter, and Peter Parker and Spider-Man. How when she didn't, like especially back in the Silver Age, Bronze Age, and so forth, the running thing was that May was just as vocal in her dislike of Superman as J. Jonah Jameson was. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on, we've got our first backup story, Birds of Prey. Where we left off, Cassandra Cain had allowed herself to be arrested to break into, or to gain access to a magistrate prison. She was thrown into a cell with Stephanie Brown, who was thought to be a traitor to the cause, but we found out in part one, she infiltrated she basically infiltrated the bad guys and then got arrested to infiltrate. She also infiltrated the prison in her own way, working with Nightwing. But they've formulated a plan, and it's in motion with a riot in the mess hall, and the peacekeepers are dealing with that. But they do kind of have a bit of an upper hand at the moment. And just as it seems that the peacekeepers have quelled the riot, the security cuffs come off of all the inmates. And also the cameras are down, so the leader of the lead peacekeeper tells the others, take out as many of them as you can. Cassandra Cain makes her way through the bowels of the prison, however, and discovers the dark truth. They don't have Batman imprisoned there. They have Oracle imprisoned. So she frees Oracle. But looks like they're actually, they find some files, so maybe actually Batman might be alive. But does it take Oracle a while to get through their the data? The riot doesn't seem to be going too well, and so. But Oracle manages to hack all systems within Gotham, and eventually the Resistance takes the prison, and they it does become a bit of a home for the Resistance members. Fences are mended, mainly between Cassandra and Spoiler. Dick and Barbara have themselves a nice reunion, and the prison yard is becoming something of a refugee camp for the various injured villains. Which brings us to our second backup story for Gotham City Sirens, Girls' Night Out, where we left off in part 1. Catwoman and Poison Ivy had found a domestic droid in a contractor's home and decided to take her out for. She's basically sitting around watching shows like Sex and the City and whatnot for who knows how long, and she wants to do a Girls' Night Out, so they take her to Slam Bradley's Speakeasy for Masks. Slam's been shot, as has Selina, but turns out that the domestic droid, Dee Dee, is able to override the Magistrate's cybers. We also get our first look at Magistrate 01 without his mask on, or PC-01 without his mask on. But while he does look familiar, we don't get a definitive as to who he is. But Peacekeeper-01 is not pleased with the fact that a domestic droid, Dax Diltons, was involved in what happened. And especially with the fact that she was involved with 2 masks. So, after the speakeasy, Ivy and Dee Dee take Selina to Ivy's hideout. Surgery is done, bullets removed from Ivy, or from Catwoman. She sleeps things off. Turns out they're wanted. They have a bit of a spa day. But they're promptly... And we find out that Dee Dee has human memories. Thought processes from the brain of a dying teenage girl. Apparently she has visions of her family and a boy whose lips were sweet. And these leave her with a longing to be in touch with people she does not even know. But they try to do more girl talk but eventually peacekeepers show up. But they create a plant-animal hybrid of Ivy's named Rover eats the peacekeepers, spitting out the parts he doesn't like. And, however, Ivy has to leave her hideout, basically, liquidating the place, kind of thing. Well, not gonna be here again for a while, but there are more peacekeepers on her tail. Dee Dee manages to stop them, however, but then Dax Dilton shows up, and so Dee Dee takes out the component that the Resistance needs, gives it to Selena and Ivy. Attacks Dilton, but is then shot by the Cybers. However, it turns out it's the component that the Cybers can't shoot, and as Catwoman's holding it, they can't shoot her. So, Ivy and Catwoman escape. We learn later that damn it, that Dilton has basically been dropped by all of his clients. All of Dilton's clients have left him, and he, in fact, has disappeared after charges were filed. And finally, Slam Bradley has retired from running a club, and Ivy is now running a speakeasy masks instead. Named for Dee Dee. And that is where the series ends. Which brings us to our final book of the week, Future State Nightwing, number 2. Where we left off, Nightwing was dealing with the magistrate, and Batman, Jace Fox, came to see him looking for help about a missing girl. A girl he'd rescued who seemingly vanished shortly afterwards. But as they discuss things, the magistrate shows up surrounding Dick's hideout, formerly known as Arkham Asylum. It turns out the magistrate has their own propaganda service. They're filming an interview with the lead peacekeeper on scene, Peacekeeper 06, when Nightwing enables a large-scale EMP, which disables most of the magistrate's gear. And first, Nightwing tries to get Batman to let him do this whole thing on his own, and but Batman kind of turns Dick's words against him, and so they go for the dynamic duo approach, taking on peacekeepers after they exit. But it also turns out that, Batman called in some reinforcements. The Resistance. Huntress, Batgirl, Talia al Ghul, Oracle, Two-Face, Robin, Man-Bat, and Batwoman. When Batman informs Nightwing of what he's done, first Nightwing's mad, but he sees what it is that Batman's trying to do. As the Resistance is dealing with the Peacekeepers, Batman and Nightwing make their escape, and the lead Peacekeeper gives chase. And she also reveals to Batman that Batman doomed Sarah Dowell, the young woman he was looking into the disappearance of, by saving her. And Peacekeeper 6 confirms that the magistrate killed her. In fact, she ordered the young girl's rendition that she refers to it. But Nightwing's able to take down Magistrate Six's cybernetic arms. And Anna just, knocks her around a bit, and then it turns out that nanoswarm cameras have been recording everything that happened that evening. And it's going to be uploaded and broadcast for all of Gotham City. And so, Batman and Nightwing limp off into the sunrise, which is where the series ends. That's it for this week. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. I'm on it. So the plan for the rest of this, for videos for the next week, we're going to be doing an unboxing series on next Click Set, Fantastic Four Future Foundation comes Saturday. So those will be up Saturday and Sunday. Monday, I'm looking at, I'm hoping to be able to pick up this week's comics and at least at least begin getting the roundup for this week up between Monday and Tuesday, while also finishing up, finally doing the Death Metal finale video. But anyway, yeah, this is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.